Good morning, everyone. Ryan, is it possible for you to share the screen since you're going to present a bit today?
Sure. I
Thank
don't
you
have
so
much to present, but I can show it.
Still, you have like some designs, and I didn't see anything come in this morning because it's still early for me, so for many of us. But thanks in advance. And Ed, if you want, as usual, you can write the best minutes. Since you would write the best minutes, you're welcome to do this. So today is October 18th. This is the one-off MicroProfile working group trademark and compatibility call that happens on the Mondays when the marketing committee call does not occur. These calls are recorded, they are public, and they do not happen 24/7 like the regular marketing calls. In the agenda, like every other call, please write your name and help with the minutes. We go, and here, using the feedback from Paul, who is in this call, I have, and for the future calls, we will always have the tracing inventory sheet general. That is the document that lists the tasks with the Git issues. And Ryan, can you open it a moment? I'm just going to show you. This is going to be the standard for template. It says tracking inventory sheet general. There is a document, that one. Thank you. There is a document that Paul created that enables us to see what has been done and what needs to be done. It's a little bit too small on my side, Ryan. Excellent. Yes. Here. So at the moment, there are a few items that miss. There is one item that misses one sentence. I'm going to go into that today with the lead contributor and hand it over to hopefully the Eclipse Foundation by the end of the week. That is item 14, trademark compatibility. No, not the license. Is the guidelines, the trademark. Hold on, here. The trademark compatibility license agreement, that is the legal document, but we have written the guidelines, that is line 10. So line 10 is awaiting for us to add the implementation patent. And then once that is...
Now, the way this works is the guidelines points to the license agreement, and the license agreement states that to be a compatible implementation, you must implement the MicroProfile platform specification.
Correct, and that was decided. My question to you, because Paul, you are here, so I will shoot some questions to you, is do we need to also have decided how you can get to become a compatible? The information, the thread continues to be open and is happening in the community call. The latest one is Scott from Red Hat moving the conversation forward, finding ways for the working group not to charge, or maybe if we charge these things. Do we need to have that discussion closed, or can that wait for later?
No, we need to have that discussion closed, and that needs to be represented in the guidelines, in the trademark guidelines.
Okay, say no more.
So that's the area to focus. And there were some comments in the guidelines that Kevin had put in there. I went in and responded to some of those comments. It's now up to us to collectively finalize those guidelines and determine, if there's any disconnects between the foundation and the working group, and how do we resolve them. But that would be the place for us to focus.
Okay, thank you for confirming, Ryan.
And just for your awareness, we've cracked open the license agreement that we had created the original draft for on row 14, and expect to be working on it this week. And as soon as we have a draft of that available, we'll share it as well.
Excellent. Is it possible for you to share it directly in the working group forum and avoid using the steering committee mailing list? You can.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why not.
Okay, thank you, Paul.
I don't see any reason why not. So it will, yes. So I don't see any reason why not. I think from a working group perspective, if we focus in on the guidelines, then that would be goodness. And my suggestion would be, it's important for everybody to take a look at it, and any edits that go in, if they go in suggesting mode,
Yes.
then we can see the changes relative to what was there.
Yes.
And then work through the resolution of those issues. And and somehow we will converge.
Yeah, Paul, that's what we have done. The trademarks, I brought them from the work that we did with Jakarta, and then you already understand. MicroProfiler led the adjustments, and all of us used suggested mode, with him converting and asking the questions, so everything is traceable. Okay, so thank you so much for answering that question about finishing the discussion. We're not going to rush on it because it seems that the working group and the Eclipse Foundation do not agree. Many of us do not want people or companies, entities to have to pay to be converted. Well, anyway, that's for the thread. But
Ryan, no, we will have to. So there was, we do have a disconnect on that one. So
but this is not the call for it, because we have
correct. But we do need to. When will there be a steering committee call? And maybe maybe our objective should be to take that into the steering committee call.
Yeah, we will. I actually will start update through the thread what we have discussed today, and say we need to move forward on figuring out how we can fix the disconnect. And I will do that follow-up over the thread.
Well, no, there was the thread that Scott Stark initiated 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
And the purpose of that thread was to have that discussion in public on the mailing list.
Yes.
So
that's the one that
I think I've responded I've weighed in on that thread. So if there's further input, that may be the place to put it.
Yes, that is what I'm talking about. I will use Scott's thread. It has the most.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And it may be that we end up in a disconnected situation. So
yes, and it's okay. We will figure it out, because problems are valuable to create new solutions that were not thought of before. So Ryan, can you go back? That is the one topic that I had in this that was very important in this document. We go back to the agenda.
I have a question on that. At what point should members start evaluating the prospective license? Because presumably we will all want to enter into that agreement, right? Should we do that now? Should we wait for this draft?
No, I think
update?
the key thing for us right now is the trademark guidelines. If you want to see what the trademark license agreement will be like, take a look at the one for Jakarta. But the key question for us right now is, and as far as I can see on the guidelines, the disconnect we have is the need to be a member of the working group. And we were discussing that thread and possibilities, or that topic and possibilities on the thread that Scott Stark had started. And so that I would focus your eyes in on that trademark guidelines document draft as it's written, and the thread from Scott Stark, and somehow we need to weave these all together and get on the same page.
Correct. Ed.
So I guess you've never worked with a legal group in a large corporation. They won't. I mean, they'll want to look at it. Oh,
I know they will, Ed, but I don't have a draft. I don't have a draft to share with you.
Right. Okay. So I think the answer to my question is not yet. Okay.
Yeah, not yet. And we're endeavoring to keep it as close to the existing one for Jakarta as possible, in part for the reasons that you're stating. A familiar agreement to a lawyer is a lot better than a fresh one that they've never seen before.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, albeit your outcome is never guaranteed.
Yeah.
Yes. So Ryan, again, thanks for sharing the minutes. Let's go back into the document. If you can make it a little bit larger, that would be great. Oh, and thank you, Ed, for writing the minutes. Really appreciate it. We go last week, at the end of last week, Ryan and Edwin finally got admin access to the SurveyMonkey for MicroProfile. And currently with Edwin, we are revising how to use the SurveyMonkey, as Edwin is the DevRel and the MicroProfiler in charge of submitting many surveys, hopefully in the future. And he needs to understand, all of us need to understand how best to use it without being blocked. So that work is being done at the moment since last week. And Ryan, what is your update on this? We can click on SurveyMonkey voting process on MP compatible logo 5A5. You currently are assigning staff.
So my update is I started working on SurveyMonkey and figuring out, well, how it all works for the type of survey we wanted to do. We want to do a ranking survey for this. So I figured that out. I uploaded some images, kind of testing out and realizing the images and the layouts that SurveyMonkey gives for these surveys is a little off. So I need to adjust all the images. I can just show you a quick example. This is kind of how each image would be, or as well I thought it originally would be, but it's quite small because of the formatting. So I think, and I would love your guys' opinion, I'm thinking about just putting just the one full color. The main purpose of having the one color in white, well, first for, scalability, but knowing it works with the logo. How do you guys feel about if everyone voted just with one colored logo in the middle? It makes the logo bigger and more people can see it easier while voting, especially on mobile.
Ryan, there are only 6 of us in this call, and though each one of us can put back for you on this, it's better that
You're covering your mic, Amelia.
Oh, sorry. It's better that you use the Git issue, set the copy paste of the.
This would be much quicker if everyone just wanted to give me their opinion on it. And
the thing is that I know that
no one's going to go. I think there's more people here that would give their opinion than anyone would on the Git issue.
Tatiana and Debbie will definitely give you their opinions and the Git issue.
They're not here today, are they?
Yeah, they are not here because this is a one-off. But
okay, all right, I'll put in the Git issue.
Yeah, I can give you. Who wants to give some feedback? But I recommend everyone to also follow the feedback directly in the Git issue. And let's give feedback right now. But Ryan, let's just post it in the Git issue and enable anyone. Give 24 hours say 24 hours. Please give me your feedback. I got some feedback in this call. What is the feedback we have for Ryan on this?
What it's worth, the fact that you've essentially done a quick check on the one color version, I'm happy with the single.
Yeah, so my view is it's okay to put one version in the tool. However, it would be nice to put a link to the kind of multiple color one.
It will be all the links to the Gits will be in this description up here later.
Oh, okay. So in that case,
they can dive deeper to it all. Yeah.
Yeah. As long as they can dive deep into the actual full design, etc. I think that's fine.
Okay, cool.
John, feedback?
I don't really have much feedback, to be honest.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of, I'm okay with what Emily said.
Okay, so Ryan, my feedback is always use.
Put it in the Git.
Always make the design larger than hell so that we can see it. One is enough. If we add the PDF like into the description, in the description we will also add the brand handbook that Ryan nicely created with many of our feedback. So the description.
Why would we add the brand? I mean, I guess they could see the branding colors and everything, but this logo and stuff won't be in there, and it's not finished, the brand handbook, until this is.
The thing is that the brand handbook has the history of how the logos from MicroProfile were created in the past. No other document. There is no blog that ever has been written. So that is the history of what, what does the M means, what are the colors mean, and all those things. We did such a good job. That is a version number 5 for the branding handbook. And it's a shame not to use it when we're asking the community to choose the next branding logo that will be used for many, many years in the future.
Hey, something to think about in that regard is the logo itself will be an impression, and the impression will be with people that have never seen the derivative history that you're referencing. So that there may be some benefit of just putting the logos out there without the backstory, because at the end of the day, it's going to be the market, customers, and so on that will be experiencing that logo won't have that detail.
That's true.
Something to think about.
No, it's good feedback. We will consider it, Paul. Thanks. Okay, so then we have 5A5. Ryan, anything else blocking you? How was your take on SurveyMonkey with not only the design for this? Have you been able to design SurveyMonkey so that when we submit or produce new service, that it has the MP design across it, like we use it for Zendesk and other tools? How is that?
I'm still figuring it out. It's not as straightforward as I thought it'd be, or as scalable as I thought it would be, but maybe I'm honestly just missing something. So I just need to spend a little more time playing with it. I wanted to get this survey kind of more figured out and polished a little bit before I try to save a proper template to be reused in multiple times.
Okay, you do your thing. Let us know, how to unblock you. You're really good at asking for feedback when you are ready to ask. So thanks so much for navigating this. Then we go, any questions about this? Because we can't, the only thing missing is what Ryan is working on right now. And after that is done, we're going to send a short testing by a few of us to make sure that we vote, quote unquote, and there are no glitches. And then after that, we will follow with the working group forum, be sent all the stuff. On that side, I created, can you click on the consolidated SurveyMonkey voting process? This is a consolidated, there are many tasks on it. And I wanna discuss one of them, aside from design. Here. It's a little bit small, I can't see it, and you use black.
I mean, it's not a doc, so.
Yes, I see it. Now, perfect. So here, the last piece, the data protection impact assessment is when Chris and the infra team of the Eclipse Foundation helped us with providing the 3 admin access. That means the infra team has a seat, Edwin and Ryan have a seat for MicroProfile SurveyMonkey. He requested that the working group creates a document that explains how MicroProfile will use the personal information. If you click in the tickets, Ryan, can you click on 593, please? Yeah, and the Google document. I created the draft is not completed. You just have the bones. And this week, I am going to start the write-up on what we know. We need to say, yes, the SurveyMonkey will gather the identification of the voters, but not to sell a staff, not to contact them, all these things. This was discussed sometime at the end of August. I can't remember the date, but we discussed how, I think it was September 20th, actually. We discussed how the survey will be used. And we have here the trademarks for, not the trademarks, but the Eclipse Foundation usage policy. So my job is to create a draft, and then I will pull it back into the working group for review. This document will need to be voted by the working group because it is binding legally. And the level is not legal, quote unquote, but the actions of the working group will be reflected on the protection of the IP. And why do we need IP? Because we want only one voter per survey. So it's just a smart. And in the document, it's going to be one page. And this is what explains why we need it. What are the requirements? And here it tells you, Edwin and Ryan will subscribe to this mailing list. They will need to be added to it because it's private. And if there are any issues like security dangers, they will need to delete a bunch of the data, but regular stuff, right? So this is something that is happening this week while we work in parallel with the design work. Questions about this?
Who needs to vote on that?
I think the steering committee will need to at least review the document. It's just simple, one page that says the SurveyMonkey will use as identification.
Will the steering committee need to adopt a resolution adopting this document?
Yeah,
approving it?
Yeah, it will need to approve it like a resolution. It might not be a formal vote because it's not a specification and it's not that like whatever, but it will need, the steering committee will need to file a resolution with a second so that it goes through.
Which document are we referring to here?
We are referring to the MicroProfile Working Group SurveyMonkey Data Protection Impact Assessment.
So on what kind of basis you created this doc? Did you read the Data Protection Act or something like that? So it's basically have you run through with a lawyer and for the data protection?
No, Emily, good question. The document has not been created yet. This is the skeleton of why the document needs to occur. It has the git issue, the information, and what it was given to us. And I said I will draft, and it's not a legal document. I will use the document provided by the Eclipse Foundation to write up how we are going to use the information. It's not about us creating a legal document. It's about answering two questions. How is MicroProfile going to use the information gathered, and for what purpose? How and for what purpose? The how is SurveyMonkey, and by what purpose? Because we want only one voter, plus other things that I will find out once I go to this document here that is acceptable usage policy. I will.
So are you saying, sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay, so sorry about that. So are you saying like a working group? So you are going to draft this doc, and then working group vote first. I
It will
assume
review it.
then
It will review it.
yeah, review it. Okay, review it, and then it's after the review, we'll send it to Eclipse Foundation for approval. Is that the
Yes.
process?
Yes, because the Eclipse Foundation will be a part of the document. They are one of the admins, right? There are 3 seats, and one of the admins is the webmaster team, right? So they want to make sure that the document exists so that the other 2 microprofilers can comply to maybe deleting information or reacting really quickly. It's just very basic and uncomplicated. But I wanted to make sure to show you the why the document will be, it's very like, not even a half a page before I start writing it. The goal, and then if you can see after requirements, that is where the answers will be. MicroProfile will use these for SurveyMonkey service, and then why we need identification, personal identification, because we want only one voter. And the emails will not be used to send or ask for anything to any other persons. We're talking about being able to accept responses to the service globally, right? Privacy in Europe, is different than it used to be a few years ago. So we need to have this done.
So now my question is, Paul, is this something you have done before, or this is completely new to you as well?
We lost Paul.
Oh, we lost Paul.
Yeah.
No, I'm here.
No.
What was?
Okay, my question, Paul, because Amelia is going to draft a doc, basically is the document, the data protection impact, etc. So my question is, after the working group review this doc and Eclipse Foundation need to like check to see whether Eclipse Foundation can approve this doc or not. So my question is, has the Eclipse Foundation done these kind of things before? Is there any, process associated with this kind of the ask?
Yeah, so Emily, I've got to dig a bit here, but my assumption is the document was provided was
Yes.
the document that we conform to, and what our expectation is that the two additional administrators will conform to it as well. And because they're conforming to it, we need to place a copy of that document somewhere so that it's visible to those and others. But
Yes.
I'm guessing a little bit because I'm just listening to the discussion as it's happening, and I don't have the direct details, but I expect it's pretty straightforward in
Yep.
that regards.
Paul, thanks so
Okay,
much.
that's good. Thank you.
Paul, thanks so much. 593 explains the exchanges with the webmaster, with
Okay.
Chris and Martin. I think Martin or Matt. And the coolest thing is that they did ask for one-page document that says the lists the microprofilers and what they agreed to, right?
Yep.
So then the requirements are here. You know, we have the policy, and then what? And then we say these are we answer the question in this document that says MicroProfile needs to gather the personal identification because we want that person to vote only once. And then the second question is, we will not use it for X, Y, Z, and whatever else. And then we list whomever has admin access, and then that's it. It's very uncomplicated, so Chris said. But I wanted to make sure to bring the explanation here because it can be via tickets or writing is complicated. It gets more complicated. So
it
thanks.
sounds like the thing to do is to, although it looks like you're for the thread, the 593 thread, you're the one that's largely active on it.
Yes.
But it would be, once you've got the draft, to shoot it back over to whatever issue is opened with the Eclipse Infra team, so they
Yes.
can look at it and +1 it for you.
Of course, one of the things that is going to happen is as soon as the document is done, it's just the 2 questions to answer. I plan to pull into the ticket, Chris and the webmaster team, so they can review it and say, no, that wouldn't work. That is not clear. And then after they are done with the review and say, that looks okay with us, because they are equally as Ryan and Edwin. There is nothing different from them and the 2 microprofilers. Then after that is done, I will send the ticket with the document to the working group. I might as well include the community so we get broader outlook and say, everyone is going to be asked to file the service. This is what is happening while you do that. How much care goes into this, right? So we do it right.
Yeah, I would say that that's an optional step.
Yes.
I mean,
We don't cut corners.
Those that are participating in the survey will benefit from, is having that governance document in place. They don't necessarily need to weigh in to the
Yes.
review or comment on that governance document. They just need to know that we just wanted to make sure that when the community at large is participating in this survey, that it's being done in a appropriate fashion.
Correct. This is why I thought working group forum is always best for that kind of working group action. All right. Emily, anyone else? Do you have any questions about this before we move to the next topic?
So could I just clarify? It's Eclipse Foundation that needs this document. We're not filing it with any.
No, it's only the Eclipse Foundation request to create.
And I'm still stuck on, do we need the steering committee to vote on this or not? To accept it or do something, or is it, can we just?
Yes, the steering committee will be aware of it.
You're making it a requirement. I don't believe it is a requirement.
It's not, but it should be. It should be like as not a formal vote, Ed, because it's not that serious. But it needs to be a resolution like a light resolution that says, you know, like when we pushed forward to have the resolution about having the vote be public for the compatibility, that was a resolution. And there was like a soft vote to say, yes, I like that, +1, right? That kind of thing.
Well, here's the
I-
deal.
I-
I mean, you do this and you'll be in the middle of November perhaps before you've got that sorted. And we're just like, we're running, it just time keeps moving to the right. The logos have been available for review for quite a while now. So, I mean, you can do what you want to do, but I do think that you want to get this survey going.
Then we will answer
I think Amelia,
Go
I
ahead.
think is earlier. I think earlier what you suggest makes more sense. Basically, is a kind of as we go along, and because the gate issue is open, so just send an email to the working group. Is that anybody feel free to comment, and at the same time just move along. And I don't think it matters much. It's pretty straightforward.
All right.
And Eclipse Foundation's responsibility to approve. For us, is pretty much add 2 more committers. I think who will just say no. So I think
Yes.
yeah.
Exactly.
I think let's speed up. And anyway, I think is since everything is in the public, it's nice to send them notes to say, hi, we are working on this. If you have any comments, feel free to add. And then like once you have a draft ready and send to Eclipse Foundation to approve. So job
Yes.
done.
I agree, Emily and Paul, Ed, I agree with it. We definitely don't like to cut corners. So we will make sure that all this data goes into the forum with the ticket for enabling feedback. Hopefully there are no -1s so that we don't have to go into votes. But if there are, we will proceed more formally. We just want to make sure that everyone understands why we're doing what we're doing. So it's always nice to get this feedback early on. All right.
Yeah.
Are we talking out about 585 consolidated tickets? Okay, if we are, let's move to swag. This one is also consolidated. Okay, so all of us know that we have a working group and there is finally a budget. There are many JAGs that are waiting for their MicroProfile swag for us to say thank you for they continuing to adopt the technology, push it into their ecosystems, not only through their jobs and employments, but also JAG leaders in diverse countries. If we see here, the question is, we have a general t-shirt that is membership t-shirt. We have the hoodie that resembles the t-shirt. We have the costs that were shown last week. Do we need an implementation shirt and a specification shirt? This is not the area where we will say yes, no, but the tickets are here, and this ticket will be sent and was sent to the community call. And my question and call out to all of you here in attendance, 5 of you, John had to go, is please go into the tickets, provide early feedback, and then we will push this out. Creating the designs for the updates is easier, but we need to make sure what do we need. Also, I plan to send this ticket to the committee mailing list that is private, and about 50 committers for MicroProfile are added into that list. We want to hear from them. Will they want a specification shirt? Will they want a hoodie? Right? It would be ideal that we already have the SurveyMonkey for them to say yes, no, but we don't have it set up. So we're a little bit unable to use that tool for these kind of questions.
This is a part of the budget spending. For the
Emily, couldn't hear
2021.
you.
Oh, I'm saying it. Can you hear me now?
A little bit better, yes.
Yeah, maybe it's can you hear me now?
Yes.
Better? Okay, so thank you. So is this kind of part of the 2021 budget spending? So we need to like work out this very shortly, very soon, so that we can get some money aside.
This one, the swag that we dedicated for 2021 is 25,200, right?
Oh,
And
okay, yeah.
yeah, 25,200. And I understand that every working group should spend their money in a given year, but when that is not possible, because we have been setting up other things in the working group, that money goes as a extra money for the following year, and that is likely what MicroProfile will do. Because
No, I don't think you've got it right there, Amelia.
I asked the question, Paul, and the ticket, but I never got the answer. Is there a requirement in the bylaws of the Eclipse Foundation that I can see that say every working group under the Eclipse Foundation must utilize the money in their budget by the end of, MicroProfile chose January 1st to December 31st. Is there anything in writing that obligates a working group to not have money brought up to the next year?
What I'm told is that there is an expectation that that working groups will spend their budget because the fees are collected on behalf of the members for an impact in the year in which they're collected. And that's what we need to endeavor to do.
And we understand that, Paul, but you understand the situation where MicroProfile working group have been working on this to get to this area. And finally, we're almost done with all the requirements that we need, like the new logo, so that we can do this. Spending the money is easy.
I just, things take considerable time, and I think we just need to cut through it and get it done.
Yes, we will.
It's like there are things we can do with search engine optimization, the things we can do on getting swag delivered, and there's things we can do on content. And I think we just need to get it done.
But Paul, you have to be careful when you say content. The content for MicroProfile is created by the community. The MicroProfile community has the best content out there that I can see, and it's not being paid for services. Are you referring that this money needs to go into services, Eclipse Foundation services, to be spent?
So Clark Roundy was on the call a couple of weeks ago, and there was a lot of good discussion and input, and he's tasked to come back with a proposal based on that input. And he was unavailable today due to a conflict. And I will encourage him to either send that input to the mailing list, the marketing mailing list, or marketing hangout, or plan to be on this call next week.
Yeah, no, he can send it to the marketing mailing list. Absolutely.
Okay.
It's even better so that we can see it, and we can, tell Clark, he can create a ticket and say delivered. He can say a gift ticket, and then add the email and say, here is the document based on what we talked, and move forward. I remember that is a call from October 4th that Emily was the lead to enable it, correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I
think we.
Yeah, I've been slacking. I slacked with them on this, and I'll follow up with the request to get it onto the mailing list and follow up with the ticket.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you so much, Paul. Emily, do you want to say anything about this?
No. The only thing is, I think is when we get Clark's notes and etc., then we can work on the fine details. The other thing, I think, Paul, you mentioned in the past, I suddenly realized, so it's about press release for MicroProfile kind of release and etc. I think if we struggling spending the money,
We will
that's
not
a good
struggle.
problem to have. If we have something left over, or I think that's kind of atom is quite good to do a press release for the MicroProfile 5 with the kind of the adoption of the Jakarta 9.1. I think it's something we should consider doing. I'm not sure whether I need any budget or is it will be free, Paul. Paul, do you remember the press release suggestion you
I do,
mentioned?
Emily, and I'll remind Clark of that and ask him to consider that in his proposal back to you all.
And
Yeah,
Paul,
so we can discuss. Yeah, thank you.
yeah, so so on last week's call, we did discuss a little bit the information on the call, and that is for next week's discussion. We will wait for that information, but that information only needs to go into there are $9,000. If we go back into the budget, into the minutes, here is the document with the SWAC that is consolidated. And then if we go into the minutes for below discussion, Ryan, there is a budget. And that is exactly $9,752. Zoom is not added to this. I think Zoom is 200. I have no idea. Paul, if you can give us the details for the cost in this is an Excel sheet that we have. And currently the budget available to be spent is 9,752 outside of the swag. That's super easy to spend if we want to have all the swag completed in the next month or month and a half. So Clark is doing something for this amount, correct? He's adding the contingency and the infra leftover budget that is close to $10,000 that are leftovers. We don't have this on or technical content, so we cannot do this on, and he's figuring out how maybe we could do it. Is that correct? Or is he creating something for the 36,000? That is needed because we already said we will use 25 for swag to thank our community.
Yeah,
I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I've got to defer that to Clark.
Okay, thank you. Because we don't want to be told how to spend the 36,000. We already decided how to spend 25K that is assigned to swag to thank our community. We have contingency and we have infra that is money left, and that is close to $10,000, not including Zoom. Maybe it's 200. I have no idea because the Zoom for MicroProfile is not a full account. You guys have added us into the infra for the Eclipse Foundation, so it's way cheaper. So not counting that, if you click on the spreadsheet for distribution, we just need to know what is he doing. It's going to be a hit negatively, and I would say it ahead of time. If we get a budget proposal that says and dismantle the entire conversation that we had 4 months on the budget on how to utilize it. And I want to be very explicit on to many of us worked on the budget to make sure that its allocation, though it could be adjusted, is focused on giving back to the community that does things, not to buy things, buy services, or do things like this. The MicroProfile working group, since its inception in 2016, through the working group creation, fought for over a year to make sure that it was not a project created to buy Eclipse Foundation services. We're happy to collaborate with the foundation, but we do not want to spend the money on services. We want the community to own most of the work that can be done. And this was stated in multiple calls throughout 2020. I want to make sure that Clark understands this while he works on the 10K for nicely telling us, hey, we can do X, Y, and Z. And that is super nice as a service that is included in the 12% fee that we are maintaining the collaboration with Eclipse Foundation. Am I off here?
So what Clark
I
is
think,
doing is Clark is looking at your program plan, and he's having listened to other community members and other members of this marketing team, is coming back with a proposal.
Yeah, if I recall correctly, we didn't mention about Eclipse Foundation services media. So yeah, let's wait for Clark come back with some suggestions. The other thing that what I want to say is the swag. We put 25,000 for swags and events. So it's the kind of, that's including events as well. So like for the marketing activities and etc. I think if we, I understand that it's very important to thank the community. Also, we also need to think about how to like promote our technology and etc. And such as a press release and encourage others to like do the blog and etc. and etc. So I just want to say is t-shirts and hoodies are important. Also, we need to think about others as well. I think we mentioned that last in the
Yes.
last call.
No,
Yeah.
you're correct. You're correct.
Yeah.
This year, the only thing we did was be a part of the DevNexus open source community party. Clearly, everything is virtual. So it's really hard for us to get to different conferences. No one traveled. Usually what MicroProfile in the past have done is we know who is speaking on MicroProfile and diverse events. And that speaker usually has 10 t-shirts, 15 t-shirts to be provided. The coverage goes into protecting those ones that are doing stuff for MicroProfile. And you are correct. I think only once we did a booth, and it was also free.
Yeah.
It was also free. And we will have to strategize on when do we want to have a booth, and that will be much 100% run by MicroProfilers. We will know who is flying. For example, as part of the events budget, when we discussed the 25, we thought, hey, Edwin is the DevRel and he is independent. So whenever he wants to travel, maybe he wants to do one event a year. And he said, I really want to go to this place and I want to bring t-shirts and I want to talk about this. He will be completely covered. That means we pay for his flights, the hotels. We make sure that he has the swag. We make sure that he's covered. And like him, others, we want to make sure that the Champions program is covering the people. And by events, we mean not only are we thanking those ones that create the events with coffee breaks, you know, we can do Jack's London, which is super awesome, DevAx Belgium, and it doesn't need to be a regular booth. It needs to be, we're there, we're added as a member, we're paying for these kind of things like the beer, the coffee break, that kind of cool things, but only if MicroProfilers have been assigned to do the work. That means volunteers have said, hey, I will be there and I want the coverage. So then we know we will never pay $5,000, $10,000 for an event when there is no organization by the working group on saying, you know, the marketing side saying, yes, we have this many MicroProfilers speaking, and it makes sense for us to support, become silver to this event, because there are so many talks about MicroProfile. We definitely want to highlight them and make it amazing. That kind of thing is what we thought about when we talked about events. But 2021 is like no travel due to COVID. So it's very passive. Emily, does that answer the question? Because you were part of the conversation.
Yeah, I am. I just want to say kind of some other activities. Plus the swags. And then in the 2022, we should plan ahead.
Yes.
With all the sponsorship and etc.
Absolutely. The travel is still not, many companies are still not freeing their people to travel. So it's very complicated, Emily.
Yeah, but even virtual, I think even next year we should sponsor some conferences.
Yes.
People get used to virtual now.
Yeah, well, we're a little bit fatigued of it, to tell you the truth. But yes.
Yeah.
So I heard Emily ask if she could have budget to do a press release for MicroProfile 5. Emily, did you ask for that?
Yeah, I did.
Is that, so I guess I'm asking this group, and you know, we're not quorum, so we don't have authority, but is that something this group would generally get behind? I don't have a problem with that.
If you're asking Tommy, try, because we're 2 here and only 5 of us are on the call.
Yeah, we don't have authority. I was just asking for if we could answer, I think, her request for that.
Yes.
Does this group think that's a good idea or not?
what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring what the stats from Jakarta EE for the last 3.5 years back into this group, and I will send them to the marketing forum so that everyone can see the stats and what that group gained for the publications from written by the Eclipse Foundation team. And this team can decide if it's worth it or valuable with the stats. Okay.
That's
So I'm
cool.
going to do that. And thanks, Paul, for
Yeah.
attending today. And everyone, we are 10:59. We will not go over, even though my computer decided to update. I really appreciate everyone for being patient while I struggle. Anything else before we go? And Ed, thank you so much for helping with the minutes. I will go through it and make sure that they go, that everything is, there before I copy paste and send it to the working group in MicroProfile marketing. Ryan, thanks so much for sharing the screen today and working on the design. You're so amazing. And then that's it. What out of time?
Yeah,
And-
great.
Yeah, and Paul, thanks so
Thank
much
you.
for attending today. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye
Yes,
for now.
thank you. Bye.